you cannot have one piece in a puzzle being reproducible and other pieces are not being reproducible. That doesn't work. So they have to harmonize and align the rest of the pieces, whether it is the data collection piece or the modeling piece, to be consistent and achieve the overall end-to-end objectives. And this is still somewhat of a new area, and we even though we don't ask them, the customers have encouraged us to be a lot more prescriptive, encouraged us to tell their teams to be, to organize their work a certain way, simply because we have the opportunity to see many companies and many groups.
Yeah, and it makes total sense. You don't want one thing to be very shiny and nice, and then the rest is put together by a string and it's not working and you have problems with it. So correct. I can see how that would work.
And consistent with what Flavio was saying, right? All of this is high risk stuff. Let me give you a concrete example to help understand the situation. See, there's a customer of mine that actually is taking inventory bets on the products. They have to decide whether to keep 9 units or 50 units of a certain product, and for that they have to do forecasting and understand the demand and so on. Now, it was recently they started noticing some unusual behavior of the models. Then when they started investigating, the first thing that they go to is the modeling code, the scikit-learn, whatever code, and the Jupyter notebook, and from there they start tracing it back all the way. And it turned out that what was happening is that the Java application code that was there which was the source of a lot of this data, they made some implicit decisions about how to handle products from some geography and not from, and how to handle products from a different geography. There was some element there, but this end-to-end debugging process, they struggled to debug actually what was the model that was actually put into production, right? The precise code, because the code itself was moving very fast. When they were able to come to the Scribble platform itself, whose work ends at the data set generation, from here we could go back and say this is exactly what what our sources of the data was there, because as a matter of routine we keep track of the metadata, we have a lineage search, all of those kinds of things. It was clearly apparent that you cannot have this end-to-end debugging ability with black holes in the middle. And in this case, they were able to find they had logged the data set that they had used for the modeling. So from there, we were able to chase it down to the Java source and then fix it. And it is not, this happens actually quite frequently. So I believe that reproducibility and explainability will be driven not so much by the asks of third parties like regulatory authorities, but just because you have the need to understand and debug your own data science systems that you have built. If you don't understand what bets it is taking, when and why, you won't be able to manage the risk.
Wow, that's really thought-provoking. The change will come from the internal side as opposed to regulations.